Yeah?
Yeah, they were doing that.
Okay.
Said they won't tell.
Well,
We won't tell.
I need to... Repeat what? They can't keep up with it.
All rise.
All right, please be seated. Okay, how was lunch today? Okay, I see this pattern now. All right, let's get started with cross-examination. Okay. Not right now.
Good afternoon. I'm going to turn this here. There we go. These wires now. Okay. You good? Thank you. Afternoon, Detective.
Afternoon.
When you flew to California, you indicated that Detective Mayo came with you?
He did.
Okay. And when you went to Mr. Joseph Quinzio's residence, you were assisted by other officers, approximately about 20. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would say somewhere between 15 and 20.
Okay. And you handcuffed Mr. Quinzio, is that true?
He was handcuffed. I don't remember if it was either me, Detective Mayo, or the Riverside Sheriff's Department.
Okay. Now, in your extraction reports that you identified with Mr. Vandenburg, did you, at a point in time, come upon a voicemail that Mr. Vandenburg left on Mr. Quinzio's recorder?
Not on Vandenburg's extraction report. The voicemail came from Quizneo's iPhone 5.
And were you able to find the time that was left?
I was.
Okay. And what time was that?
That was at 3:36, I believe it was, Central Daylight Time in the morning on 6/23 of 2013.
And did you have a timestamp, or did you just put that in? How did you figure out that time?
On the iPhone, the way it works is after I extracted Mr. Quizneo's phone, I saw that it had a voicemail on there. So what I ended up doing was powering the phone, leaving the phone powered on after the extraction, and simply going to the voicemail locations on his phone. Once you go to the voicemail locations, you can access each voicemail, and you can see each voicemail there either by phone number, or if the person is in the contact list, by the name. So I saw Brandon Vandenburg right there with the name, and I clicked on his name, and it pops up a metadata window showing you the contact information of the person that left the voicemail and the date stamp up at the top.
Okay. Did you listen to that message?
I did.
Did it sound like the message was...
Your Honor.
Well, I have to hear the question first.
Your Honor, I just object to Mr. Perez listing any statements by Mr. Vandenburg. With the state filed a Hall motion, I mean, I object to him putting in statements by
I
Mr.
understand
Vandenburg.
that part, but I still need to hear the question. Don't answer until after I hear the question.
Yes, Judge.
Did it sound like the message was made before 3:36?
Go ahead.
No.
Your Honor, I'd like to play that message.
Objection, Your Honor.
Well, that does get into Hall issue.
Okay. You indicated earlier this morning that you had found an iPhone 4 of Mr. Quinzio's in his car. Is that a true statement?
That's true.
Okay. And that was in the middle console of his vehicle, is that correct?
I believe that's where it was.
Now, you indicated as well that you did an extraction report on that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you have that extraction report?
I do not.
Okay. Because you indicated it was only for music, is that correct?
That's right.
All right. And you never provided one to the state, is that correct?
I can't remember if one was provided or not.
Okay.
I provided the state with everything where I found evidence, and I didn't find any evidence on that phone, so I wouldn't have probably given them an extraction report.
But even though you ran an extraction, you found it not necessary to provide that report so we could look at that, correct?
Well, that's true. I mean, in this case, I did extractions on numerous devices. We've heard of a few, but I've already testified that I ran full forensic analysis on all of Miles Finley's laptop computers, Miles Finley's phones. Joey Quizno actually had a third phone that was an LG phone that was seized and analyzed. Miles Finley's brother's computers were seized and analyzed, and I believe there was a family computer in there that was seized and analyzed. And no, if I didn't find any evidence at all, I didn't provide the extraction report to Detective Mayo.
But there was talk of an iPhone 4 that was missing by Mr. Quizno. Is that true?
It was a 4S, I believe it was.
But even though you found a 4 and you ran an extraction report, you did not print one to give to the defense. Is that true?
No, because I found evidence of even another third iPhone of belonging to Mr. Quizno on the extraction of his computer.
Okay. But my question is, even though there was an iPhone 4, that an S that you indicated that was found in the car, you did an extraction, you did not run a report. That's true, correct?
Right, that's true.
Okay. And it's true that when you found the phone, you told Detective Mayo, I found the iPhone 4 in his car, so he's lying. Do you remember saying that?
I may have. I don't remember saying that.
I could play it for you, or do you want me to play it for you?
I mean, if you want me to say I said that, if it's on tape, I said that.
Do we have that?
Objection, Your Honor. The question is asking for hearsay. The witness has been asked the question, and he's answered the question.
Well, he did answer. He said that it's on tape that he said it.
Okay. Based on our conversation, I'm looking through the areas, Your Honor, so we could do the...
Sure.
Okay.
I understand.
In your extraction report of Mr. Quinzio and Mr. Finley, you indicated that they were receiving messages or calls from Mr. Vandenburg roughly at 2:49, 2:52, and 2:53. Is that correct?
I'd have to see my report.
Okay. You know what? I should have asked you for that.
Sure.
Those are my questions regarding Mr. Quinzio, so I'll reserve, and so we
All
can
right.
do the...
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to do is the state is going to bring in another witness who has to leave shortly. So Detective Gish is going to be excused just for a few moments, and then we'll call him back for the completion of his testimony. All right?
Please, we'll probably need just a second. Mr. Quincy, I'm supposed to...
I didn't hear what you said.
I said we'll need just a second to advise Mr. Quincy of the court's ruling.
Okay.
So we
Sure. That's fine.
Briefly, while they do that.
Sure.
Mr. Quinzio, could you please state your full name for the record, and could you also spell your last name for the court reporter?
Joseph Dominic Quinzio, Quinzio.
And Mr. Quinzio, where do you currently live? What area?
I live in California.
And are you currently in school or are you working?
I just graduated and I'm working.
And do you know Mr. Brandon Vandenburg?
Yes.
How long have you known him?
Since I was about 13.
And the time of early June 2013, could you describe your relationship with Mr. Vandenburg at that time?
Yes, we were good friends, went to school and played sports together.
And could you describe your relationship with Mr. Vandenburg today?
No longer friends.
I want to direct your attention specifically to Saturday night, June 22nd of 2013, kind of late that night into the early morning hours. On that day, what type of phone did you have?
I had an iPhone 4.
And was it a 4, or was it that model number or a different model number? Do you know?
I believe it was an iPhone 4.
Okay. And I'm going to ask that the witness be handed Exhibit 43. Mr. Quinzio, do you recognize the document that was handed to you?
I do.
And could you generally describe what's in that document?
It is a group text message with myself and 3 other numbers.
And is each message with 3 other numbers?
No, there are several different group text messages. One with the 4 numbers, and the rest are with just 3.
Okay. And do you remember that messaging conversation?
Yes.
And what type of phone did you have when you received that message?
An iPhone 4.
Okay. At any point, did you have a FaceTime communication with Mr. Vandenburg that night, June 22nd into the early morning of June 23rd?
No.
And did you receive any phone calls from Mr. Vandenburg that night into the early morning hours?
Yes.
And did you ever have a conversation with him on the phone?
Yes.
And what, if anything, did he say to you?
I couldn't make out much of the story. He was talking to others as well as myself, and just told me to call him back. Or basically, yeah.
Okay.
But I couldn't hear too much of it.
And was that, do you know approximately how long that call was?
33 seconds.
Are you sure that it was 33 seconds?
No, I'm not sure, but I believe it was about that time.
Okay. So in your description, it was a fairly brief conversation.
Yeah, brief conversation.
And again, you said that he said he'd call you back, and he was talking to others. Were you able to make out, were you conversing with him in the conversation?
I don't remember.
Okay. And I would ask that the witness be handed Exhibit 44. And do you recognize what you've just been handed?
Yes.
And what is that?
They are also text messages between myself and Mr. Vandenburg.
And do you recall when those were sent?
The morning after. The day after.
Okay. And would you agree that whatever date is on the actual messages would be the correct date that they were sent?
Yes.
And those messages, generally, can you describe the content of them?
Yes, there is several text messages as well as videos being sent. Video text messages being sent.
And those messages, are you sending the videos?
Yes.
Okay. At any point after you had that messaging conversation with Mr. Vandenburg, did Mr. Vandenburg talk to you about those particular videos and or anything about your laptop or your phone?
Yes.
And could you describe when that happened and what happened?
That was a week after when Mr. Vandenburg returned to California, and proceeded to obtain the videos as well as my computer.
And could you describe what you mean by that Mr. Vandenburg proceeded to? Could you actually describe what
Yes,
happened? Where were you at?
We were at my house in Palm Desert, California. He had taken a thumb drive to remove the videos onto it, and then tried to delete my computer, or the software, delete the software from my computer.
And were you present when that happened?
Yes.
And when you say he, who are you referring to?
Mr. Vandenburg. Apologies.
And you said that he tried to delete your computer.
Yes.
How did he do that?
By buying a new software and just deleting the software off the computer.
And did you, I guess you said you saw him doing that. Did
Yes.
you see that software run?
Yes, we saw it run, and then we left the house.
Was the software still running when you left the house?
Yes,
And where did you go?
to a friend's house.
What happened after that?
We were at a friend's house. Mr. Vandenburg had left and had taken my car to retrieve his car. And in that time, my iPhone 4 was taken, as well as, no, the iPhone 4 was taken and the computer did not complete the delete process.
So at some point, did you return home?
Yes, the next morning.
And was Mr. Vandenburg there when you returned home?
No.
And when you got to your laptop, what, if anything, did you notice about it?
Nothing had changed.
Okay. And you stated that your iPhone 4 was in your car
Yes.
on that day.
Yes.
Did you ever see that iPhone 4 again?
No.
And did you have another iPhone 4?
I did. I also had another phone that was used as an iPod, and that was also in my car.
And was that in your car in July when detectives from Metro Nashville Police Department came to California?
Yes, it was.
And after that day that you said your phone was in your car, did Mr. Vandenburg ever say anything to you about that phone?
Yes, he told me he would give it back, and never did. And then I found that it was destroyed. Found out that it was destroyed later.
I would ask that.
Testimony was on foundation money for we don't know whether it was hearsay.
Okay, I'm not even sure what he said.
Mr. Quinthio, you said that you found out that the phone was destroyed?
I was told by Mr. Vandenburg that the phone was destroyed.
Okay. I would ask that the witness be handed Exhibit 47. Do you recognize
Yes.
that document? What is that?
This is a receipt for a new phone from Verizon Wireless.
And do you recognize that receipt?
I do.
What is it from? How do you recognize it, I guess?
Myself and Mr. Vandenburg went to Verizon to replace my iPhone 4 with an iPhone 5, and that's what this receipt shows.
And who paid for that phone?
Mr. Vandenburg.
Now, sometime in July 2013, detectives from Metro Nashville Police Department came to Palm Desert, California, and they spoke to you. Did you tell those detectives everything that you knew about the videos and the messages from Mr. Vandenburg?
No.
And why did you not tell them everything that you knew?
An attorney told me not to.
And are you telling the truth today?
Yes.
At some point during the course of this, were you charged based on your involvement in this case?
I was.
And did you reach a plea agreement with the district attorney's office on that offense?
I did.
And as part of that plea agreement, did you enter a conditional plea of guilty to attempted accessory after the fact, which was an A misdemeanor?
Yes.
And the sentence that you received was 11 months, 29 days suspended with unsupervised probation. Is that correct?
Correct.
And have you completed that probation sentence?
I have.
And have you applied to have that conviction actually removed and expunged from your record?
Yes, I have.
Do you see Mr. Brandon Vandenburg in the courtroom?
I do.
Could you please point him out and identify him? Could you describe him?
He's wearing a blue sweater to my right.
Your Honor, if the record could reflect that this witness had identified Mr. Vandenburg. I don't have any other questions.
All right, cross-examination.
Afternoon, Mr. Quinzio.
How are you doing?
Mr. Quinzio, you were initially, in this case, you were initially charged with a felony. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And as part of your plea agreement, that felony was reduced to a misdemeanor.
Yes, sir.
And as part of that plea agreement, that misdemeanor, once you complete the probation, can be expunged.
Yes, sir.
And you've completed the probation,
Yes, sir.
but it's not expunged yet.
I'm not sure.
You're not sure?
It's in the process.
It's in the process. Do you know why it's not been expunged to this day?
I do not know.
Is the state holding that up for you so that you'll come here to testify?
I do not know.
But you do know it's not been expunged.
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Now, excuse me, you've known Mr. Vandenburg for a long time,
Quite a bit.
and you've known him actually since you were 13 years old.
Yes.
Y'all were very good friends.
Yes.
In fact, in the text messages that we've seen, you all texted constantly.
Right.
Yes, sir. And when Mr. Vandenburg came to Vanderbilt to begin school here, you came with him initially.
I did.
And when you all got here, you were going to stay with him for a while in the dorm,
Yes.
but you found out that wasn't going to be allowed.
No.
Okay.
No.
And
No, you're saying no.
No, I'm saying no to it not being allowed.
okay, but didn't you find out that they would not let you live in the dorm with Mr. Vandenburg?
I never knew that, no.
Okay.
Never was told
At
that.
any rate, you returned to California,
Of course, that's where I live.
yes, and left your longtime friend here.
Yes.
Now, early in the morning of June 23rd, 2013, Mr. Vandenburg called you,
Yes.
left you a voicemail,
Yes.
and you listened to that voicemail.
Yes.
And was that the conversation you were talking about where you said that you couldn't really understand what he was saying?
Yes.
Okay. And, Jan, we'd like to play that voicemail now.
Objection. Oh.
Well,
It's a statement of the defendant.
right, I understand.
Connor, it is, may we go have him in chamber, Jean, please?
Yeah, sure.
Can I get one of those? Okay, I can do one. Thank you.
Quinzio, you actually you had a phone call conversation with Mr. Vandenburg that morning,
Yes.
and you also had a voicemail from Mr. Vandenburg.
Yes.
And you'd said in the phone call, he had asked you, did he say that he would call you back or you would call him back? Or ask you to call him back?
I believe you're getting the two mixed up.
Yes, sir, I am. That's why I'm asking you.
Oh, okay. Yes, you're getting them both mixed up.
But you had this 33-second conversation with him, and
No, sir.
the 33-second conversation was the voicemail. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now I'm straightened up. Thank you. Of
course.
That helped. But again, he called you early on the morning of June 23rd,
He did.
and he was out of it.
Yes, sir.
He was very intoxicated.
Yes.
In fact, you told Officer Mayo that you had never seen him that gone.
Yes.
You told Detective Mayo that in this phone call that he wasn't even that Mr. Vandenburg wasn't even making sense.
That's true.
And you told Detective Mayo that you knew what was going on, you could tell what was going on, but that obviously Mr. Vandenburg didn't.
You could say that, yes.
You didn't tell Detective Mayo that Mr. Vandenburg didn't know what was going on?
I don't believe I said that, no.
Could we play number 2 at 1550?
Please, objection. Mr. Reagan has just asked Mr. Quinzio if he had an opinion about Mr. Vandenburg based on this 1-minute phone call.
Right.
He has answered the question. He's answered what his opinion was. And Mr. Reagan is asking him about something that he said to Detective Mayo. Now, I don't know if they have a transcript of this, but I mean, Mr. Quinzio has just said that he doesn't believe that he said that. I'm not sure why we're playing at this point in the questioning.
Well, I think, apparently Mr. Reagan has some recording of the statement. Do you not?
It was provided to us in discovery about the statement.
Okay.
And you're objecting to the relevance. What's the relevance of us getting into this?
Well,
Anything that Mr. Quinzio said about his opinion about Mr. Vandenburg's state, he didn't see him. It's a minute phone call in which he said Mr. Vandenburg wasn't speaking directly to him.
yeah, but Mr. Quinzio said that he didn't believe that he said it. And you know what Mr. Reagan is doing. I would rather say refreshing his recollection.
And I can show him a page from the transcript, just if
Well,
that...
that'll help. Let him refresh his recollection. If you have a page from the transcript, that would be better, quite honestly.
Where's the statement just before this? There's any frame of reference in the statement.
Well, the only one I'm asking about is the second one.
But the questions from the first one, it has no context about the first page.
Would you want to ask that you read the last paragraph on page 9 and the first 2 paragraphs, I think, on page 10? Does it refresh your recollection about what you said at that time?
Yes.
Okay. And you said at that time that that you knew what was wrong and what was going on, and obviously Mr. Vandenburg didn't.
I did not know what was going on. I was not there.
I understand, but that's what you told Detective Mayo. That was
That statement was referring to the previous one about him being gone.
right. She said obviously that I knew what was wrong and what was going on, and obviously he didn't. Isn't that what it says?
I don't say I can give him.
I don't know.
An actual about what's going on.
Well, Your Honor, we've had other people give opinions on very short interactions with Mr. Vandenburg in this case.
Well, I mean, he has given his lay opinion. He can give a lay opinion. He said what he said, and that's what you wanted to bring out. It has been brought out.
We can play it now if you'd like.
Well, we don't need to play it. He acknowledged what he said, has he not?
Well, he said to refresh his recollection, and he's equivocating about what he said, Judge.
I just believe you're taking my words into a different context, and that's not how it was said in the interview.
Well, that's what was said in the interview, was it?
I understand, but you
Excuse me,
weren't
Mr. Quinzel, would you let me ask the question? That's what it said in the transcript, and you said that refreshed your recollection that that's what you said. Did you not say that?
there. Yes.
All right, thank you. Now, and you also told Detective Mayo that Mr. Vandenburg has never been a big alcohol drinker.
That's true.
You told him when you spoke to him on June 23rd he was speaking gibberish.
Yes.
You told him that you testified in the prior proceeding that you told him that you didn't think Mr. Vandenburg knew what he was doing that night because he was so drunk.
I don't know.
You recall testifying in previous proceeding in this case?
Repeat that?
You testified in the previous proceeding,
Yes.
this matter? Again, you testified that he was speaking gibberish, and you testified that it wasn't even words.
Yes.
And that the text messages, you testified that the text messages you got were totally out of character for Mr. Vandenburg.
No.
All right. Do you remember testifying in the previous proceeding in this matter?
Yes.
And you remember being asked the question, you stated you got messages and a phone call. Could you generally describe the content of those messages that were sent to you by Mr. Vandenburg? And you testified, yes, they were out of character and surprising as a friend to see. Do you recall testifying that?
Yes, I did say that.
Thank you. Now, with regard to the video, some days later, Mr. Vandenburg texted you and said, "Hey, can you send me those? Can you send those back to me?"
Yes.
And he was asking you to send those back because he did not remember that night.
That's true.
He didn't know that he had even sent the videos.
Right.
We have just one moment, sir, please.
All right.
That's all the questions I have, Judge.
Redirect.
Mr. Quincy, the voicemail that you received from Mr. Vandenburg, you were able to understand the words that he was saying in that voicemail. Is that right?
Yes.
And at the time that you spoke with the detectives from Nashville, that was July 2013, at that time you and Mr. Vandenburg were still close friends.
Yes.
And at the time you're talking to them, you were trying to help your friend.
Yes.
And did you make statements and not tell them things in an attempt to help your friend?
Yes.
I don't have anything else.
Recross.
Mr. Quincy, you testified that in the voicemail you understood the words.
Yes.
And what do you remember those words being?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained times today.
Sustain.
Judge, the state has opened the door.
No,
They've asked him if he understood the message. We ought to be allowed to play that message.
no, it's still a Hall issue. Sustain the objection.
Your Honor, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Quincy.
Thank you.
Anything further?
No, Your Honor.
Judge, I may have been mispronouncing his name. I meant Quinzio.
Thank you.
If I
Well,
mispronounced-
as I said, it's been pronounced 3 or 4 different ways.
That's very
But it's
true.
Quincy, correct?
Yes, Quinzio.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Your excuse. Okay, we need to bring Detective Gish back for at least a little while until we take a break.
Let me give Mr. Reagan my glasses so he can
All right.
They're all in folks here.
Mr. Gish, Detective Gish, we just heard from Mr. Quizno, who says the iPhone 4 in the middle of his car was an iPhone 4, not an iPhone 4S. So you
Okay.
wish to change your testimony at this
It
time?
may have been a 4, may have been a 4S.
So you wish to change your testimony?
Sure.
Okay. Now, we left off about some calls, and you testified this morning that Mr. Vandenburg was on his phone at 30801, 31404, 31746, 31853, 31902, 31905, 31944. Do you recall that?
Yeah, if that's what I testified to is the times, yes.
Okay. Do you recall what time that you indicated those pornographic images were that you found on his computer?
No, I don't recall the times.
Was it on the same time he was making these calls that you indicated?
It was in the time frame of the room. You would have to bring the exhibit back out and let me read the times off again.
Now, you examined many cell phones, right? Mac Prelude, Dylan Vanderwall, Jaborian McKenzie, Cory Batey, Chris Boyd, Austin Carter Samuels, Miles Finley, Joseph Quinzio, Jake Bernstein, Juliana Martell, Warren Miller, and Madison Jensen. Those sound familiar?
No.
No? Okay. You don't remember who you...
No, I did not image or analyze Madison Jensen's phone. I don't think the last 3 that you mentioned there.
Did you find any, I know you testified earlier today about Mr. Vandenburg, there was deletions on his phone and things like that. Did you find any deletions on Mr. Prelude's phone?
I don't remember.
Dylan Vanderwall?
I did not analyze his phone.
Jaborian McKenzie?
I'm sure there were some deletions. There weren't any evidence on the phone.
Cory Batey?
I think there was some deletions.
Carter Samuels?
There was not any evidence on that phone recovered.
There's been some testimony that, I think from you, that Mr. Vandenburg sent Mr. Carter Samuels a video.
He did.
Did you find it?
No, it was deleted and not recoverable.
Did you find it deleted?
No, I've testified that when you delete a file on an iPhone, it's gone. It wasn't in the thumbnails either. I testified to that as well.
Do you know if he received it?
I have no idea.
So then you're speculating that it was deleted, right? If you don't know if he received it.
I never said that there was a file on his phone.
Okay.
I said that I examined the phone and I didn't find any files related to a sexual assault.
You stated previously that Mr. Vandenburg had given Detective Mayo his iPhone 4 voluntarily. Is that correct?
I was not there when Vandenburg gave Detective Mayo his iPhone.
Did you have any information on that?
I have no information on that.
Yesterday, you testified about some searches on, I believe, Mr. Vandenburg's phone on the issue of can they find deleted messages on a Samsung. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. Okay. In your investigation in this matter, does Mr. Vandenburg have a Samsung?
Not that was turned in.
You also indicated and you showed an exhibit, and I believe it dealt with Southern Illinois University, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. And you indicated that was done on 6/27.
Whatever that date says there on the fourth line.
Okay. This is 6/27.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you know that Mr. Mayo was in Mr. Vandenburg's room doing the search at that time?
I don't know when Detective Mayo did the search.
Okay. Did you know that Mr. Vandenburg's computer was in the room at that time?
I knew that the computer was recovered from the room.
The pornographic sites, let me ask you some questions about Mr. Vandenburg's computer. Did it have a password on it?
I don't remember if it did. I didn't need to get the password to image the computer.
Okay. Have you viewed pictures of Mr. Vandenburg's room at all, where the computer was?
Maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay. Do you remember the computer just being left open in the room?
No, but if that's what the picture is, I'm sure that's, if it's in evidence, that's the way the computer was found.
There's nothing that says that Mr. Vandenburg got on those websites. Is that true?
That's true.
Mr. Banks, when you got his phone, he gave you the wrong password. Is that true?
Many times.
And then his lawyer gave you 2 wrong passwords. Is that correct?
Hearsay. This is totally inappropriate.
Sustained.
And it's true that Mr. Banks owns a Samsung. Is that correct?
In fact, if I may, Jeff, we would object if the state objecting. They can state legal grounds for their objection, but to start to use phrases like totally inappropriate.
Well, I agree with you.
It's true that Mr. Banks owns a Samsung. Is that correct?
I don't know.
Your report doesn't indicate that?
I don't remember. If Mr. Banks owned a Samsung, again, it would have been processed and there would be no evidence recovered from the phone.
Did you process the Samsung at all?
I don't remember. I can look at my notes if you'd like me to. Yes, sir. I think I got to figure out which one it's in. let me see that.
I have it if you don't.
Yeah, I do. It says that it was a iPhone 4S that I've processed, a computer that belonged to Banks, a Samsung phone, that was found in the room, and I think that Banks and McKenzie shared the room, because I have a note on here that says it's possibly Tip's Samsung too. So, yes, sir, they would have been examined if they were turned in.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
You interviewed the alleged victim in this matter, correct?
I've never spoken to the alleged, sorry.
You never have?
I never spoke to the alleged victim until this case began to be prosecution. Maybe one time. There was one time that I spoke with the alleged victim, or the victim, and that was when she turned her phone over to Detective Mayo. That was the only communications I had.
Did you recall the date on that?
I do.
What was that date?
I processed her telephone on July the 8th of 2013.
And the state didn't introduce that phone. Did you give it back to her?
Yes, it was returned to her.
How many extraction reports did you do of her phone?
One.
Can you tell me the time zone that was run in?
Yeah, it was Central Time Zone, I believe.
Okay, so was that American Chicago?
Should have been.
Should have been.
Yeah, American Chicago on an iPhone, when it shows up as the time zone, it shows up as Chicago. That's just the way Apple does it.
Your Honor, I have an objection to Mr. Perez showing this to this witness.
Okay. We'll go back. All right.
Detective Gish, you were handed a document. Are you familiar with that document?
I am.
Okay, what is that?
These are text messages from the victim's telephone that I supplied to the court in a previous hearing.
Okay, could you tell the jury what time zone that was?
Let's see. Central Daylight Time.
Okay, and was it Chicago?
Yeah, I'm assuming it's the same thing. Chicago's in Central Time.
American
Zone.
Chicago, correct. And what's the time of the first text message in that?
6/20 of 2013 at 6:52:32 a.m.
refer you to, in the report that you're holding, at 6/22/2013, could you find the time frame of 11/38/33, please?
6:22, and what's the starting time?
I'm sorry. (11:38:33)
AM?
PM.
On 6/22, correct?
6/23.
6/23, I'm sorry. I don't have an 11:38:33 p.m. I have an 11:34:59 p.m. on 6/23.
Okay.
So you present with another document?
Are you familiar with that document?
Yeah, this is an oxygen report document.
And what's the difference between the one on your right and to the one on your left?
The one on the right and the one on the left. So 11:38:33. So
Which date?
6/23/2013. Is that what I'm looking for again?
Yes.
Give me the date one more time.
6/23/2013, 11:53:33.
11:38.
11:38, yes, sure. Thank you.
Tell you what, this time's our afternoon break, so say your comment and I'm at here. Take about 15 minutes. All rise.
Court being a 15-minute recess.